Welcome, my name is Father Donald Baker.
And I'm Monsignor Leslie Ivers.
And we're part of the pastoral team here at St. Monica, St. Elizabeth of Hungary, St. Stephen of Hungary, a Roman Catholic parish in the Yorkville section on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. I guess it goes without saying that our world is changed as a result of COVID-19. We have spent months and months in lockdown and in quarantine, but now slowly but surely here in New York, we are moving towards a greater openness and an ability to go out of our homes and to begin to resume our lives. We're currently in phase 2 of the reopening of our city, and that has enabled us, with some restrictions, to begin public worship. People, as of last weekend, were here in our church for the first time in 4 months for the public celebration of Mass. More people will be coming in the weeks and the months ahead. But we thought it would be important to make a video explaining some of the changes that people will encounter, that you will encounter, when you come back to worship here in our church.
Welcome to our parish church. We are so happy that we are now able to open our doors to you. As Father Baker mentioned, we're doing things a little bit differently because of the protocols that are necessary as a result of the COVID virus. When you're coming back to Mass, and what a wonderful thing to be back here in church, isn't it? When you're coming to Mass on Sunday or during the week, we ask that you please come only through the center doors. The side doors will be used only to exit at the end of Mass. We've heard so much about Purelling our hands, and when you come into church, to the left of the center door, there is a Purell dispenser on the wall. If you put your hands underneath it, will dispense a little bit of the hand sanitizer, and you are more than welcome to sanitize your hands on your way into church. When you come into the church, you will notice that in the very front, on either side of the pews, will be bottles of sanitizer. So if you would like to sanitize your hands before coming to communion, you will be able to do that also. When you walk into the church, there will be a table here, right in the front, that will have the worship aid on it. We had to take all of our hymnals and other papers that we had in the pews, we had to remove them. But we do have the worship aid like we've had in the past. Please take one with you as you take your seat. And as you leave the church, you will see wastebaskets, and we ask you to please take that worship aid with you and place it in the wastebasket because you cannot reuse them. They're one-time use only. When you walk into the church, you will see that we have closed off every other pew with red tape. These pews are meant to remain empty so that we are able to keep the required social distance. We'll be able to accommodate close to 150 people with the government regulations. And when you walk into the church, the pews where we can see people, you will see a white taped X. Those are where you are able to sit again, keeping that 6-foot social distance. And we're going to ask you to try to follow this scheme when you're finding your seat. Families, we are going to ask to sit on the sides. And any family that is living together in the same apartment or house, you are able to sit together. You don't have to worry about social distancing. Older people, we would ask them to sit more towards the front. Families with young children, we would ask them to sit more toward the back of the church. And again, wherever the white X is, that is where you will be able to sit during Mass. It's important to remember that when you come into church, you must be wearing a mask. If you don't have a mask, unfortunately, we're going to ask you to have to come back to a Mass later in the day. So again, you come into the church through the center door. If you would like to Purell your hands, please do so. Once you enter, make sure that you have your mask on. And you will need to keep the mask on. I'm taking it off so you can hear me better. And you will need to keep the mask on throughout the Mass. The only time that you will remove your mask is after you receive communion, and we'll explain that later on in the videotape. So, welcome to St. Monica's Church, and we're delighted to have you here. It feels a little strange, you know, even the priests were kind of relearning to say Mass because there are things that we have to do differently. There'll be a bit of a learning curve, but we'll get accustomed to it. Thanks.
Once you've arrived here at St. Monica, one of the things that you'll note right away is there is no holy water. We were forced to remove all holy water during the start of the pandemic, long before we actually even closed the church down, for obvious reasons. Anyone who wishes to have holy water for their own personal devotional use will have to bring a bottle of water from home, and the priest will, of course, bless it for you while you're here in the church. As we walk down towards the vault, and Monsignor explained where people will be sitting, you're seeing these blue X's that go all the way down the main aisle. I would imagine that if we asked people in February what these were for, no one would know. But I would wager now everyone understands that these X's are for social distancing during the reception of communion. It is important for us to maintain social distancing even as we are going forward to the altar to receive Holy Communion at Mass. Once you've taken your seat and Mass begins, right away you'll notice that there are a few things that are different. The procession, which would normally come around and swing to the back and then come forward in a full procession with candles and on occasion even incense, has been reduced to a single altar server carrying the cross. The procession will be much shorter as well. And you'll notice a different tenor in the music. That's because our Archdiocese has asked that we pull back a little bit on the way in which we sing. Obviously, when we are singing, we are using our voices, we're using our breaths, and there is some concern about the spreading of the coronavirus if we don't wear our masks and we sing out. So we ask you to keep your masks on, even during singing. And the music that we will be using, we will be having music, however, because that's an integral part of Catholic worship. The music we will be using, though, will be somewhat more subdued, and we will ask that you respond to the music using little antiphons or phrases rather than singing whole hymns. It'll be clear in the worship aid how that works, but think the responsorial psalm at Mass. The cantor sings and we sing a response. Much of the music that we'll be using during the coronavirus will be built on that pattern.
One of the things that you will notice is that there will be fewer people in the procession. Besides the priest, we will have one altar server carrying the cross, a lector, and one or two Eucharistic ministers. And we will be sitting at a social distance inside the sanctuary. The ministers at the Mass have to wear a face mask throughout the entire Mass. The priest, though, will be able to take his mask off. The lector and the cantor will also take their mask off while they're singing. Since the priest is speaking quite a bit during the Mass, he's not required to wear a mask. And again, either at the chair or at the altar, he is being socially distant from you. After the liturgy of the Word is finished and we are ready to begin the liturgy of the Eucharist, one of the things that you will notice is that there will no longer be an offertory procession. We are accustomed to having members of the parish bring up the gifts of bread and wine. These are symbolic of all of the gifts that you present to the Lord in the celebration of the Mass. But again, we're trying to eliminate as many people as possible from touching things that are used in the liturgy of the Eucharist. So we are not having an offertory procession. The ushers will be taking up the collection as they normally do because we use those baskets that have the little pole. So even as the usher is passing the basket to you, he is remaining socially distant. Another difference that you will notice is that we no longer extend the sign of peace to one another during the celebration of the Mass. priest will say, "The peace of the Lord be with you always," and your response, "and with your spirit." The priest will not be saying, "Let us now exchange with one another the sign of peace." Again, we're trying to eliminate as much physical contact as we can between people. When it comes time for communion, after the priest receives the host and then drinks from the chalice, again, one of the changes we needed to make during this time of COVID virus is that we can no longer offer the precious blood of the chalice. We can only offer communion under the form of the bread that has been consecrated. Also, as the Archdiocese has instructed us, we can only give out communion in the hand. We aren't able to distribute communion on the tongue because, again, there is always the possibility of the priest touching someone's tongue when they are distributing communion. After the priest receives communion, he will purell his hands, and then he will give communion to the ministers here for the Mass, and also to the Eucharistic minister. He will hand the ciborium to the Eucharistic minister after the Eucharistic minister has received communion. The communion stations we have will be at these blue X's to the right and to the left of the altar. You will be coming up single file down the center aisle, remembering to use these blue markers to keep your social distance, and it will come either to the right or to the left. The priest and the Eucharistic minister will be standing here or there. If we have a larger number of people in Mass, we will use Eucharistic ministers back in the break of the church where the font is, as we've done also on Sundays. You will come. The priest will be standing here. You will come to the priest. Pretend I have my mask on.
Body of Christ.
Amen. Then you will step to the side. Either take your mask off by, pulling it down by one ear or picking it up. And then you will go back to your place. At the end of Mass, the priest will purify the vessels. He will once again purell his hands, as will the Eucharistic ministers after they receive communion. Also, when you are coming up to communion, you will notice that on either side, here by the first pew, are bottles of Purell or hand sanitizer. If you would like to sanitize your hands before receiving communion, please feel free to do so. That is why these bottles of hand sanitizer are here. After communion is finished, and the Blessed Sacrament is put back in the tabernacle, and the priest purifies the vessels, he will go back to the chair, as he normally does. He'll sit for a few moments of silent reflection following communion, then he'll ask everyone to stand for the closing prayer and the final blessing. Remember, there will be music throughout the entire Mass, so at communion time, please feel free to sing, and we hope that you will take the opportunity to use your voice and praise God during the celebration of the Eucharist. So I will turn the presentation back to Father Baker, and he will speak a little bit about what we do at the end of the Mass as we leave church to go home. Thanks very much, and again, it's wonderful to have you back for Sunday Eucharist.
As Monsignor said, in many ways, Mass will be normal. We'll be singing, we'll be responding. We may have to wear masks and sit a little bit farther apart, but it will feel like Sunday Mass. However, the end will be a little different. Normally, we process out in a grand procession where the ministers are here at the back of the church with the clergy, and then the clergy remain here to greet people in what is a hallmark of our parish. It's welcome, its friendliness, and its sense of community. None of that changes, but the way in which we express that friendliness and that welcome has to change, because we're not allowed to congregate in large numbers inside the church building. So therefore, there will be no final procession. At the end of Mass, the clergy and the ministers will just go right directly to the sacristy. We ask that then you leave. However, when you leave, we ask that if you have taken a worship aid, that you bring it with you and you discard it in the garbage cans that we will provide here at the entrances. They are not to be reused. And also, in between the Masses, our maintenance team is wiping down the pews with Clorox wipes and whatnot to see to it that insofar as we can, we make this place as sanitized as possible for the people coming at the next Mass. As you leave, we would ask that also you not congregate here inside the church building. It's such a tempting thing to see friends and family and to greet them on Sunday, which is, of course, what we will one day be able to do again. Unfortunately, right now, that is not a possibility. We ask that you leave using the side exits. And once you're out on the steps in the air, if you wish to greet people and to speak with one another, feel free. But we ask that inside the church, there be no congregating of people. I just want to echo what Monsignor Ivers said. We are so happy that our church is open again, that we are moving towards the day where we will no longer have to wear masks, and we will be able to celebrate fully the Eucharist here with everyone in our parish community of St. Monica, St. Elizabeth of Hungary, St. Stephen of Hungary. However, until that day comes, that does not mean that we are not gathering. And you are welcome to participate in this gathering with us every Sunday and every day. I know people are anxious with good reason. I know people have to watch their health and not allow themselves to be exposed to what could be a very dangerous sickness, a dangerous disease. Absolutely. Just to maintain the fact that the obligation to attend Sunday Mass has been suspended for the time being. There's no reason why you have to come to Mass if you are elderly or you have a pre-existing condition or, frankly, you're just worried about getting ill. We continue to put Sunday Mass online on our website. You can access us here in terms of social ministry at any of these platforms, and we ask that you do, and you sign up and you friend us and you become a part of our online virtual parish so that as these weeks go on, you might be better informed about the changes that will be coming as we slowly but surely get back to normal life. This has been a difficult time for so many of us, and it is not over. All the more reason to come to church, to worship, to pray, to receive the sacraments, and to be close to one another and to the one who calls us together as church. On behalf of everybody here at the parish of St. Monica, St. Elizabeth of Hungary, St. Stephen of Hungary, I hope that these few hints might give you a little bit more peace and comfort to see how we are gathering together and assuring our safety, but then, just as importantly, assuring that we come together as God's people on Sundays to celebrate the Eucharist. And please know, you are always welcome here, because you are always welcome at St. Monica, St. Elizabeth of Hungary, St. Stephen of Hungary. Thank you.